Hey there YouTube, Alexander here. Thank you for joining me on yet another YouTube video. I'm really enjoying doing these. I wonder if you're all enjoying watching them. Let me know in the comments below, and I'm going to say thank you while you do that to everybody who has subscribed, who clicks like on these videos and does leave the comments. If you want to be involved in all of that, there is the subscribe button just as you see on screen, and don't forget to slam that like button. The comments really do help out as well, so thank you all very much. And if you do enjoy seeing something a bit more live, get on the Twitch. Links to everything in the description as always, but that's a good way to see me doing some sim racing, having some fun on the old racing wheel, and we'll see you soon in the chat. Now, what are we talking about today? Thrustmaster. They have more wheelbases on the market than any other product manufacturer out there. Nobody else has made as many wheelbases, as many wheels. I don't know about pedal sets though. What I do know is they tend to throw out products faster than we can all purchase them. So with the announcement of their direct drive wheel, what are we in for? Now, as you'll know, everybody else already has a direct drive wheel launched or announced or on the market right now. You have Fanatec, which have 3 direct drive wheels. You have Simucube, you have SimMagic, you have a few other crazy manufacturers from the Asia region. You also have Moser and the Open Sim wheels from Simplicity and the Open Sim wheel kits. There is no shortage of direct drive wheel manufacturers or kit assemblers out there right now. That's a fact. But what we lack is a number of entry-level products. Now, currently you have the Fanatec CSL DD, you have the Moser R5 and the Moser R9 can also be considered entry-level, and then you also have the brand new Logitech G Direct Drive Pro wheel. But Thrustmaster hasn't launched theirs yet. Now, I've known about their direct drive wheel since 2018. That's a lot of time now. They officially announced it in 2021, so they must have been working on it for a number of years already at that point. And then they teased a few things earlier in 2022. The first 3 months, they ran a Starting Lights campaign where they showed a few of the features, I would call them. I wouldn't really say benefits of their wheel, but definitely features. And they've stayed really quiet since, until they announced just last week that they are going to stream live their launch of their brand new base, the direct drive wheel. So let's speculate, if you'll allow me. I just want to talk about where I expect this wheel to be in the market, what I expect them to deliver, and what you can expect in terms of what it will be. So with that in mind, let's first of all talk about the thing that Thrustmaster is known for, their partnership wheels. Now, what you'll notice from Thrustmaster is that a lot of their wheels are all Ferrari branded, some of them are Sparco branded, and there are a few other brands as well. Now, they have done a really good job actually of Thrustmaster with the design of their wheels, in that they look real. They look real. They're very exciting wheels to look at and to browse. And we like that. Everybody likes that. It's nice to come in and sit and look at a replica of a Ferrari wheel. But it is just that. It's a replica. It's not a real wheel. It's not like the Fanatec BMW wheel or the Bentley wheel, which are actual physically made wheels that you can take from the Fanatec ecosystem to put in an actual race car. That's how they were designed. That's how they are expected to be used. And Fanatec have been doing race wheels for Porsche for a long time. They're not actually used in real Porsche cars, but they are designed to look and feel as if they were. Now, the difference here is that if you went and put this, adapted it some way and put it in a real racing car, what you would find is that it is a very, very tiny wheel. What I mean is the diameter is 70% the size of a real car, which means the real car much bigger. Of course, that also changes the way that it feels and the amount of force that the base can deliver to the outside of the wheel. Now, that is all because of the force the wheel puts out. 3.5 Newton meters from their T300, and I think it's very, very similar from the TSXW and TSPC. The TGT2 is slightly more, 3.7 to 4, I believe. But again, it's not a lot of force, hence tiny wheels. Now, Thrustmaster have promised that they have some one-to-one wheels on the market. I've not had a look at them myself, but what I expect is that they are still smaller in some way or another to stop ruining the force from the wheel. Now, when you start making sacrifices like the size of the wheel, there is an implication for drivers like me. I mean, I'm in my 30s, I'm fully grown, I'm an adult. My shoulders are a fair bit wider than the wheel, so if I'm going to do an endurance race, this is probably going to hurt. After an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm going to start to feel like my chest is tightening up. I'm going to start to get backache, maybe a little bit of neck ache as well. This wheel is far too small for doing endurance events. This is where the other manufacturers, Moser, Fanatec, Simicube, Asher Racing, Cube Controls, they're all doing a fantastic job of producing proper racing wheels. Now, some of them are this small, but the layout is very different. You're not having to reach inside for buttons, there at your fingertips. I think 280mm is the smallest one, but that's what you'd get in a Radical or in a Caterham. Not endurance wheels by any stretch of the imagination. Sprint racing wheels or autocross racing wheels that you would do 15 to 20 minutes in maximum. The larger wheels for the GT Racing, GT3, GT2 LMPs, they will be either 300, 320, 340mm wide. You don't really see that many 340mm wheels anymore, actually. I mean, the MX-5 that I race, 380mm wheel. Again, that's a 90s car. A lot of the drift wheels are that big. But again, there's a whole lot of that going on, a whole lot of letting go, a whole lot of letting it spin. You're not quarter to three 100% of the time, which is where you would be with something like this. Now, with that in mind, letting go of the fact that the wheels are tiny from Thrustmaster, is it going to be the same for the direct drive wheel? I think it is. I absolutely do think it is. I mean, the Logitech G announced theirs is, was it 280mm? A tiny wheel. They've been doing tiny wheels for ages. Their target market is children. I think Thrustmasters may be very similar, but there's the quick release on these which isn't going to stay. They've announced a new one, but I am expecting the fit to be very similar. There is a cross pattern inside of here with a mini DIN 6 connector, a bit like what you'd have on 90s keyboards and mice for your PC system. Now, that connection, I don't feel like that is going to change. What is going to change is the ring that connects to the thread. I think that is where the quick release is going to be changed. You can already see that this has two flat objects here. Plenty of space for something to clamp down on and prevent this wheel from moving. Why that wasn't used originally, I don't know, but I think that is what Thrustmaster has come up with as their revolutionary new quick release design. Now, why they haven't gone down the route of all the other manufacturers out there and providing something closer to real life, such as the NRG quick releases, I don't know. But everybody else seems to have done that, and it seems to be working really well, and there seems to be a lot of fans about that enjoy that. As someone who's used one, I would say it's definitely the right way forward, and Thrustmaster may want to catch up in years to come, but right now they just need to get this product out there. So let's stop talking about the partnerships with manufacturers, stop talking about the size and the plasticity of this, because it is plastic, a little bit of metal, but not enough to stop you feeling a bit cheaped out. So the base itself, this is where the magic is going to be. Whatever wheel they decide to put on this as standard, and it will come with one because they can't design a brand new quick release system without showing off what it's attached to. The base itself, I mean, I've got the T300 sat right in front of me here. I've been using it a while now. probably a little too long. But knowing about the direct drive wheel in 2018 kind of stopped me moving on, when that is probably the time for me to move on. I've stuck around for 4 years since then waiting for this. Meanwhile, I've seen so much good from every other manufacturer. I mean, the Moser R5, £600 for a wheel, a base and some pedals. That is absolutely amazing. The Fanatec CSL DD, even with one of their decent wheels, you're still coming in at less than £1,000 UK for a base and a wheel to go racing with from Fanatec. I mean, granted, it's not 20 Newton meters, but I don't think you need that when you consider that the T300 is only 3.5 Newton meters. And then you have the Moser R9. You have the Logitech G, which has just been announced to be 11 Newton meters. So what is Thrustmaster playing out? What are they going to bring to the market for us? Is it going to be revolutionary? I don't think so. I really don't. I'm expecting them to use the same motor inside, if not very similar to what the Logitech G is using. Yes, they're going to spout figures of 11 Newton meters. I'm not expecting it to achieve that. Maybe at peak, maybe from cold, but once there's a bit of heat in there, same as the Logitech G, I'm expecting that to drop off and maybe achieve 8 or 9 on average peaking once there's a bit of temperature in the system. Of course, that is not how most manufacturers record their scores and market them. The marketing here is a big point of this. There's a lot of marketing wank out there. You've got to be careful what you read into. So I'm expecting it to be the same motor as the Logitech G, and to be honest, I'm expecting that to be the same motor as what is in the Moser R9. Of course, Moser saying it does 9 Newton meters, which is probably better to undersize your product than it is to overspec it and disappoint a lot of people. So Moser, I'm liking what you're doing there. So yeah, if it's not the same motor as the Moser and the Logitech G, I'll be very surprised, because designing proprietary equipment is seriously expensive, and at the price end that Thrustmaster sits, I don't see them having that kind of budget. Sorry, I've said it. It's out there. They're at the entry-level end of the budget. They always have been. Now, their TSXW, TSPC, TGT2 might say something different, being more expensive than the R9, being more expensive than the R5, being more expensive than the CSL DD. That's a number of direct drive wheels that the belt-driven system from Thrustmaster has been more expensive than for a very long time. Do I see Thrustmaster undercutting their own wheels? Absolutely not. I'm sorry to say it. Now, the motor's going to be the same. The plastic on the outside is probably going to be very similar to the plastic on the outside of their brand new wheel. But the price isn't going to be cheaper, because they need to make a profit, and they cannot leave wheels in their marketplace that are belt driven while trying to sell a direct drive system and still make profits. It just cannot be done. So I'm expecting the wheel to come out with the base, maybe £1,100, £1,200 UK. The Logitech G's 900 and Thrustmaster have generally been a little more expensive than the Logitech G wheels. There's going to be no comparison with Moser. Moser is doing what Thrustmaster and Logitech should have done a very long time ago, and if budget is where you're at, you're looking at either Fanatec or Moser. You're not looking at Thrustmaster or Logitech anymore. Thrustmaster especially. Considering the price of their TSPC base on its own, there is no way that the direct drive wheel and a rim and a set of pedals as a kit is going to come to you for less than £1,200 from Thrustmaster. It's not going to happen. Now, considering that they're going to have to keep the Minidin 6, I'm wondering if they're going to keep a couple of their other connections. Now, if you've got a set of pedals from Thrustmaster already, if you've got a bass from Thrustmaster already, if you used them in the 90s, then you will know that Thrustmaster have done something a little bit different in terms of their connections from their pedals to their wheelbases, in that they've been using phone connectors, like the actual physical connectors that you you'd see in your handset for your landline at home. It's called RJ11, I believe, and that has been around since the 80s. It's a very old standard. It's a very simple crimp-on connector, but it's got problems. Like with Ethernet cables, there is a tab that you have to clip in and clip out for that cable to be secure in your room. If you're constantly moving your setup, constantly changing things, for example, if you clamp it to a desk where you study or you work, and then you have to remove it every time that you want to study or work, and then put it back on when you want to race, those connectors are going to fail. There's no doubt about it. Those clips are not infinitely strong. They have to bend. Bending plastics eventually wear out. It's just how things are. Of course, it's a failure point that Thrustmaster build in, which means that you then have to go buy new products. Understandably, all manufacturers do that because they have to sell products to stay in business. It's how it works. But designing such an old connector, one that isn't so strong, isn't so reliable, yeah, I can't see it changing, but that is going to be a letdown for a lot of people. If it does change, however, it does mean that Thrustmaster are going to sell an adapter. And that's a real possibility because Thrustmaster will not include it in the box. They've seen what Logitech have done with adapters in the past, and they've taken a lot of heat for this of Thrustmaster. And Logitech is selling adapters for products so you can connect them into the PC without having to use one of their proprietary bases. Now, Thrustmaster had stick over the TH8A before they changed it to come in the box. There was flack over that for their T3PA pedals. The metal version that I use didn't come with any way to get it into your PC. Thrustmaster didn't care, they didn't make that. Logitech have had something similar with their shifters. You couldn't connect them into PC without additional products from Logitech or third parties. And they still don't include that in the box, so you have to go out and buy things. Being at the cheaper end of the market means they're not going to take these extra accessories and put them in the boxes. They're going to want the profit that they get from making and selling these just to stop an influx of people buying and mix-matching all of the different ecosystem products, because at the end of the day, that's not how they want them to be used. It's called a seamless customer experience for a reason, and that's because they want you to use the same brand for every control surface when you are immersed in something on screen. Now, with that in mind, I have got to say that the pedals that Thrustmaster put out there, when was it? Was it 2013-14 when the T3PA metal came out with the T500, or as an add-on for the T500? And then there was the T300, which came with them as standard. The metal pedals that Thrustmaster put out there are absolutely spot on. They were not cheap, more expensive than the wheelbase of the T300, more expensive than the wheelbase and plastic two-pedal set of pedals that they had out in 2017 or 16 or something like that. I think you could buy the pedals and they were more expensive. But the quality of those pedals is unreal. I've attached a load cell to mine and they're still holding up absolutely fine. I may go back to a spring eventually because I prefer it. But these pedals, they've been absolutely fantastic. Very robust. But again, extreme cost. What are you going to get if this new direct drive wheelbase from the Thrustmaster, if it comes with pedals, it's going to be a plastic setup. It's going to be 2 pedals. It's not going to be 3. They've got their T3PA pedals, the plastic version. They've had them on the market for a while. You can buy them as an add-on. That's going to be an opportunity for the Thrustmaster to make a little bit more coin. They're not going to come with the direct drive wheelbase. It's going to be a 2 pedal setup. I don't think they're going to go down a similar route as Moser, where they know the pedals aren't the best on the market. They're not trying to make the best on the market. They're just trying to make something better than what comes with many wheels as standard. I don't think they're going down that route. Moser have nailed it. That's their thing now. So, with all that said, what other features are you going to get on the wheel? We already know that the motor's going to be no different to what comes in some other products on the market right now. We already know that the connections to the wheels and to the pedals are probably not going to change unless they want to start charging for additional adapters. We already know that the plastic's going to be the same. There's going to be no difference to how it mounts. All the Thrustmaster wheels either mount with a desk clamp or with 2 bolts underneath. What other things is this wheel going to have that sets it apart from the competition? I don't think there is anything. The one thing that's going to set it apart from their current wheels on the market are the LED hexagon shape that is around the face of the unit. We've already seen that. We already know that it glows different colours. We already know that it's there for game integration purposes. Is it going to have RPM lights? No. No, it's not. Is it going to have mounting for screens? I don't believe so. Thrustmaster have already released some add-on LED strips and displays which are designed for adding on to the wheels, not to the bases. So I don't see the base having any sort of support for an LED or for a dash system like the Moza has, but I see it having the potential to be modified that way. Now, we haven't seen much of the casing. We haven't seen much at all. We've seen a glimpse of the quick release. We've seen a glimpse of the LED ring. But that is all. I'm going to go out there on a limb and say that the heatsink for this direct drive wheel is going to be encompassing the entire design of the wheel apart from the bottom surface. I'm going to say that because fan cooling is quite expensive, and it is where they went very wrong with the T300 bases. The fan is very, very cheap. A bushing bearing rather than an actual ball bearing. So once that starts to wear out, you can hear it as a vibration in the wheel, and it is hella noisy. It is ridiculously loud, and it ruins the experience of using this wheel. So Thrustmaster will not be including a cheap fan in their direct drive base. It will be passively cooled, a lot like the Moza system and the Fanatec CSL DD. Now the Logitech G does have a massive mesh at the front, which is for their fan to pull airflow through the base to cool it. I'm guessing that's part of why their base is £899 UK. Not a great move from Logitech, but that does mean that they can still sell their cheaper gear-driven option. And Thrustmaster are going to do something similar, but it is going to be passively cooled to prevent the problem that Logitech are soon going to have, which is the same problem everybody had with the T300. Is there anything else that I think we might want to know before we make a decision? Well, not really. Not really. I mean, there are a couple of companies that make add-on rims for your wheel button plates, because with the Thrustmaster you can use these bolts to take off this rim, and then you have a button plate for which you can mount a bit of plastic and some handles. There's a few companies out there doing that. I think that is going to be the way forward for people to continue modifying their Thrustmaster wheels. I don't think there's any point in buying the replica wheels which are 70% sized. I think 9 Nm is what you should expect from the Thrustmaster direct drive wheel as an average peak, rather than a cold out of the box peak, which is what I think Logitech G is giving you. There's no way that they have a really powerful motor in there that's all G'd up to give you lots of force. That's going to reduce when it gets warm. Is there anything about the quality which I might be concerned about? Not really. If they've gone passively cooled, then the product is going to be flawless, and it will work flawless for a very long time. They made the mistake in the early 2000s with the RGT force feedback of using cheap plastics, thin materials, and potential breakages, because there was a lot of warranty repairs for the RGT force feedback when paddles broke, when the wheels started slipping. There were a lot of problems, so they will not be wanting the same risk with their direct drive wheel. So I'm not expecting anything new, really, in terms of how they build their wheels, how they market their wheels, or how they design them. The new quick release is going to be on all old wheels as well. They're just going to get rid of that silly, horrible plastic ring that you have to tighten up and sticking with a screw. Unless that ring is still there and instead of using a screw, it's just a quick release clamp. I don't know, but that could honestly be pretty likely. I would not be surprised in the slightest. So, with all that said, I mean, compatibility wise, it's going to be the same as their current wheels at the moment. Some for Xbox, some for PC. Different wheels, different bases. More than likely. But is it going to be worth waiting for? I mean, when you consider that there's so much on the market already, when you consider what Fanatec have done successfully and is still selling out of right now, when you consider what Moza have done successfully with so many positive reviews on the market, and when you consider what SimMagic and Simucube and Simplicity and all these other manufacturers are doing, is it worth waiting for a direct drive wheel that's going to come in a little bit more expensive than the Moza and the Fanatec CSL? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the launch will be interesting on November the 17th, but that's November. We've got October to get through yet if you're watching this at the time of launch. It's not yet at the end of September. We've got another week. It's a long time to go from 2018 when I first heard about it to 2021 when they'll announced it. That's three and a bit years. And then a few months at the start of 2022 to market it and then to stay silent. Absolutely silent for almost 6 months. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense, especially when everybody else has launched their products. Do I think that it's going to be worth it once it is launched and it's on the market? Do I think it's going to be worth it over something like the Moza R9? Or the Fanatec CSL Direct Drive? No, there is no chance, because with the R9 you can buy the beautiful GSGT, you can buy any of the other wheels like the new FSR, is it the one with the screen in there? Absolutely beautiful wheel. Why would you want a 70% replica when you can buy something like that that looks like it's supposed to go in a proper GT3 race car? Likewise, Fanatec have their Porsche wheels, they have their BMW wheels, they have their wheels with screen in it, they have Formula wheels. Fanatec have so many different wheels for their bases that no wonder you have so many fans of the Fanatec products. Now, yes, I'm backtracking. If you know me from my sim racing career, you've raced with me in championships and people have asked, what wheel do I upgrade to? I've always tried in the past to steer people away from Fanatec or Simucube or other brands which are selling products for so much money. Why? Because you don't need to spend it to have a great time in a sim racing game. But the CSL DD is a direct drive wheel that is so affordable, just as the Moza R5 is and just as the Moza R9 is. If you want more fun, more enjoyment and more immersion from your sim racing games, go out and get one of those. Don't wait for the Logitech G, don't wait for the Thrustmaster Direct Drive. There's no need. Those are more expensive products that are coming out from entry-level brands that will not meet the same performance and characteristics of the more expensive manufacturers from Fanatec and Moza. There, I've said it. You can go wild in the comments about it. I don't mean to upset you, but I feel like that is going to be the case. However, I'm going to keep an open mind. I would very much like and enjoy it if I am proven wrong on November the 17th. So keep your eyes peeled for that launch date. I'm hoping to see it live on Twitch. Speaking of which, I also do Twitch. I am live every Saturday, 7 until 9, so get in the description, click that link, click the follow button in Twitch as well, and come and join me in the chat. It's a lot of fun. We have a smashing time. Usually there are a few smash ups because I don't get enough practice, so come join us and we'll see it for a real old ball. And if you really want to as well, support the channel with a subscribe, hit that like button and leave me a comment, please. Tell me what you think about this, tell me how wrong you think I am. Start a discussion, let's start a debate, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.